Hey, what's up, YouTube? So this is totally different. So I don't know how many of you were into Dungeons and Dragons when you were kids, man. I was big time. We're talking back in the early '80s, '81, all the way up into like say even to the present until I ran out of people to play with, which is I think what happens to most of us. Anyway, I have been I'm actually selling some of my D&D stuff off, but there's certain things that I don't want to part with, and so I thought I'd talk about those pieces in case for some reason they end up getting sold. But I recently sold my, what was it? I think it was a second edition Dungeon Master's Guide on eBay. I had that thing since like 1982. you know, I finally sold that off. And, I've got a deities and demigods for sale with Cthulhu and, the Elric mythos. That's also for sale. It's very expensive though because they're pretty rare, you know. That edition, particularly because of the copyright problems with the Lovecraft people, so to speak, his mafia, his Arkham House or whatever publisher. Anyway, so I was a huge fan of D&D. I loved Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid. If you look in the back, I've got a bunch of war games too. I was into war games and Call of Cthulhu and all that stuff. You know, pretty much throughout the entire '80s. And even played in the 2000s, But again, like I said, I ran out of people to play with. But I was a huge fan of D&D. Just loved it. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about today is a classic module. Everybody's probably heard of this. Anyone who's a Dungeons and Dragons person, if you're out there, anybody cares. But yeah, the Tomb of Horrors. The Tomb of Horrors. All right. That is a classic, and I have had this since it was in the store or whatever. I bought it. This thing's been beat up. And here he is. Here it is. So I think this is actually like a second edition. I believe there's another edition prior to this one, and then of course there's another edition after this one with like the glossier cover and where they have colors, green or blue or whatever they're using as their backdrop. This, of course, is completely different. Of course, pink you can say is the backdrop here, but it's it almost seems kind of primitive, Like, this is like, I mean, it's pretty cool. This kind of stuff, the D&D and stuff and like all that, really. I played a game called Car Wars. It was a Steve Jackson game way back in the day too. That was like early '80s as well. Um, I played Panzer Leader. I couldn't find anybody hardly who wanted to play war games though. They're different than role-playing games. So of course, it's harder to find people that wanted to play strategic games. Sometimes I even play myself. you know. Anyway, so this is a legendary game, or module, I should say. And it's very difficult. It's not a it's not a module for the beginning character. What's cool, of course, you've got your module. Again, this thing is ancient. It's had to be. It was originally stapled, but I don't know, somewhere down the years, I had to tape it, you know. But it is complete and it's in pretty good shape, in my opinion, for being, what, almost 45 years old or something like that. What year is this? This was from 1978. So, oh my goodness, 40 something years old. I don't know. I don't want to do math. Anyway, the important thing is it's very old. It's at least 4 decades old. Okay. It's a piece of pop culture. And it's pretty cool too. Not only is there the instructions for the module or whatever, but it's one of those ones that came with the the little book, the illustration booklet. You know, really cool. You know, again, I got into this game in around 1981, around when I was in about sixth grade. Um, 81, 82. It was a big deal. Played D&D all the time, and then. Yeah, it was a cool game. And I was introduced to some fiction from it too, inadvertently. Like, for example, Lovecraft. That's how I discovered H.P. Lovecraft. Was I think it was in the back of the basic set or something. They talked about fiction that, could inspire ideas for your campaigns or your games or whatever. And in this little bibliography or whatever they want to call it, they included H.P. Lovecraft. So, being the weird sixth grader that I was, I went to the library in the city I lived in, the town McAllen, Texas. It was the McAllen Memorial Library. I think it was dedicated to World War II veterans. I used to go there with my mom all the time. Anyway, I found Lovecraft at the library and checked it out. Something I discovered from that, from just a game. There was other things too, of course, but anyway, that was one of the big ones to me. Was Lovecraft. And anyway, so sixth grade. It's got these great pictures, man. Yeah, it's creepy as hell, With that beautiful. It's like you got the whole storyline of what you see when you come in. Like what you see. These doors. Pretty cool. I mean, D&D is primarily a game of the imagination anyway, so this is just kind of cool, though. It's like I have something to show you. Look at this. All this evil imagery. Look at the scary door. Look at those. They look like Egyptian gods. Anyway, it's a whole series of these. Let me see. I'll show you a couple more. I think are kind of cool. This dungeon though is ridiculously hard. Yeah, that's cool. See that well, I hope. Yeah, that's actually, I don't want to give away too much if you haven't ever played the game, but that's one of the principal reasons you're there. The Tomb of Horrors is supposed to be the tomb of a witch. So he's like someone dead wizard, or whatever. Super wizard, not just a wizard, all scary, dude. Yeah, just this scary shit. I mean, this game, like I said, is really intense. This is a hardcore module. This one is not for the kids. And we played it. We played games. We would do, literally campaigns where we would start off a character at first level, and then, proceed to, whatever experience points you gain, whatever you did, and so you'd of course. And we'd keep those characters alive as we, alive as long as we could, and and I knew other people that were different D&D players. Anyways, guys, this is what I wanted to talk about, really. At the end of the day, a little bit of this, and again, this is just a really cool thing. I'm going to do this. I hate to do it, but I kind of open up a little bit. There you go. There we go. That's as far as we're going to open it. I mean, you can still use it. It's completely readable. But, I don't want to open it all up all wide and shit. The binding is not, it's kind of disintegrating. Anyway, I thought you guys might find that interesting. I thought it was really cool. I just thought maybe somebody out there cares about stuff like this. I've got all sorts of weird crap. If you ever found my channel, I'm into a lot of weird stuff. Different things, not weird necessarily, but just have a lot of hobbies, or have had in my life. Anyway, that's Tomb of Horrors, guys. And ladies and gentlemen and whatever. I hope you're having a great evening. Thank you for watching this. If you like that, let me know. I've got more. I've got a whole collection of stuff back here. And again, I'm selling on my eBay store right now. So if you're interested in something of those items that I am selling, not everything's for sale. Like this is not for sale. Okay, it's not for sale. I picked it out and said, no, not you. You stay with me. And I've got more. So I'll do more videos later on this if anybody's interested. All right. Have a good night. Have a good day. Have a good morning. Have a good evening. Bye. Alvarado out.